Narcissistic. What is narcissistic personality disorder?
Narcissistic personality disorder is characterized by patients with who display grandiosity, envy, and an inability to have empathy or, put themselves in another person's shoes, be able to imagine what another person might feel like. Despite all of their, crowing about themselves and always tooting their own horn, the underlying dynamic of narcissistic personality disorder is someone with very poor self-esteem. And so the person that the narcissist is trying to convince how wonderful they are isn't necessarily all of the rest of us. It's them.
What are the signs of narcissistic personality disorder?
This is an individual who will display an overinflated sense of themselves and their accomplishments, and they will be completely floored when other people don't see them in that same light. They have a constant need for admiration. Now, I mentioned when we were talking about histrionic personality disorder that they need constant attention, But unlike the patient with histrionic personality disorder, the narcissist has to have entirely positive attention. It's not histrionics have attention at any cost. They don't care if it's good or bad. Narcissists, on the other hand, need constant admiration. It all needs to be positive all the time. They will feel like that they are incredibly special and that they can only interact with other people who are equally special. They will only get into social settings if they feel like they will gain from them. Now, unlike the antisocial, who will only enter into social interactions, the antisocials are looking for positive primary gain, money, drugs, whatever. But they're going to get something now. Whereas a narcissist, the gain can be a little more abstract. Let's put it that way. It could be power. It could be, tickets to a private concert, prestige. It could be money too, but I'm just saying they're a little more abstract in terms of their interaction with others and what they hope to gain from it. Now, while narcissists are often running around tooting their own horn, I think one of the reasons that they have so much social dysfunction and why other people tend to dislike them intensely is not so much because they're constantly bragging about themselves, although that gets irritating. But I think implied in all of that bragging about themselves is a very thinly veiled devaluation of whatever it is you're doing. So it's not only, I'm so great, but there is implied in all of their, and you're not, which tends to upset people and make you not very popular, The other thing is that like the borderlines, they will also devalue people, but the dynamic is a little different. What happens is envy is an incredible part of any narcissist's experience. So anyone who possesses or possesses materially or psychologically, if you have something a narcissist doesn't have, they will become envious. Now, you're not going to hear them say, oh, I'm so jealous of you. What you'll actually see, the manifestation of that envy will be a devaluation. Oh, well, that's because she's a brown noser. That's why she got that promotion, So there will, anytime they feel the envy coming up, they will immediately have to devalue it.
What are the causes of narcissistic personality disorder?
Like borderline personality disorder, there's been a lot written about narcissism and the developmental deficiencies. In other words, parenting flaws or problems. Narcissism is a normal part of childhood development. So each one of us starts out, with a healthy sort of narcissism, that grandiosity, that small children often have. And one way of looking at it is almost as if, you have this narcissism that's considered a normal developmental phase. And over time, as you get older, and the reality of the world sets in, and you realize that, you're not the most special person in the world, and you can't leap tall buildings with a single bound or whatever. That narcissism gets chipped away, that grandiose, archaic narcissism gets chipped away, hopefully leaving a kernel of good self-esteem.
What are the dangers of narcissistic personality disorder?
The dangers of narcissistic personality disorder is basically having everyone that you come into contact with hate your guts. It's very difficult to like these individuals. As I mentioned before, one of the problems is that despite the fact that they're always, tooting their own horn, which gets tiresome in and of itself, is there is a very thinly veiled devaluation of you, so it's I'm so great and you're not, which people get pretty angry about. I think that they're often very exploitive and will take advantage of you if they think that they can get something out of it. And from an occupational standpoint, it's very difficult to be the instructor, supervisor, or boss of someone with narcissistic personality disorder, because they will become envious and need to devalue you.
Who is at risk for narcissistic personality disorder?
It appears to be more common in men than women. The more flagrant aspects of the disorder tend to deteriorate with age. Age is accompanied by a series of narcissistic hits, So I think aging is very difficult for the patient with narcissistic personality disorder. While the more flagrant aspects of narcissistic personality disorder may diminish with age, I think that the aging process itself can actually enhance the disorder, because inherent to the aging process are a variety of narcissistic injuries.
What are the treatments for narcissistic personality disorder?
Like so many of the personality disorders in this cluster, in cluster B, antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and now narcissistic, a lot has been written about the psychotherapeutic treatment of patients with narcissistic personality disorder. By virtue of the therapeutic relationship, i.e. you're the therapist and they're the patient, inherent in that relationship will be a lot of envy. So these patients will have difficulty in that therapeutic relationship. They'll tend to devalue the therapist because of the envy involved in the situation. And keeping them in treatment can be an issue and can be rather challenging. So insight-oriented psychotherapy, probably treatment of choice. If the person meets criteria for a mood disorder, then you would treat that in a standard fashion as well.